Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party and my buddy Rhett back there. We're writing some code. It's already 8:30 a.m., so I don't have that much time today. But yesterday I had to sort of jump off this pretty quick. Um, because I only had 2 minutes before work, I was a couple minutes late. But it was a pretty active day yesterday, so I did earn my money. But anyways, we have found out we leveled up basically when it comes to unit testing, and really I think more at even at a lower level of understanding how kind of a little more insight on how unit tests work in general and how stuff works. But I didn't really get a chance to read this thing, so basically the problem was I kept trying to run my unit tests and they would like let me go ahead and do it real quick. Oh man, what did I just do? Let's get rid of that. Click on that. So npm run test, and I added like some is it in here? No, it's in here. I added some like comments inside of things, and the idea was no, this one isn't it either. It's not that one. Let's go here. Man, I've got a lot of changes. So in one of my spec files, it's not this one. Let's see, animation spec. Here's my tests coming on. Yeah, it's down here. So basically what we have here is, I'll go back into the full view mode, is like a comment and expect to have a value too. So basically we're assigning this thing here we're assigning new hash value to this value here. But the problem was that when we go to this visualization where we reset the hash, if we go in here, go to definition, we say log hash vav. Here's where the hash. Here's the new hash, bro, and then hash end. And then I guess what I should do. Let me hit Alt. I'm going to use my little arrow here because it's more like work, like Visual Studio. Back again. And then if I put another console log here, I think what I did, I must have lost it because log. Okay, test complete. And so when we run that, I think we have to hit refresh. Oh no, see, this time it runs itself. I do not understand when it decides to run itself and when it decides not to run itself. But if you see here, like, and I don't even think it did. Here's the new hash. Okay, so I'm gonna hit refresh. Because what I want to see is my console log happen here. Or maybe I didn't, I needed to scroll down. That's probably what needed to happen. See, I hit test complete, and then this finally gets printed out with my new hash. So just to sort of I'm just going to review that real quick. So, and now let me go step by step. So we run this. We have FIT, so it only runs this one test. We use our visualization and we get our original hash, which we expect to be empty because it hasn't been set yet, which is fine. That works perfectly fine. And then we reset the hash to 1 and 1. So let's go there. So basically we're emulating what we expect the JavaScript engine to do, right? So we go in here into our definition, we pass in these two, we run, and then we console log hello world. So up here we have hello world, and then we console log hashed out stat and our visualization um, value. This visualization, which is a hash value, which is nothing, right? Then we set up some data, and then we create our hash string, and we console log our hash string. So this is our hash string, and then we call this function here, and then here's where things get, like sort of not, it's not unexpected, but it's not like, not every novice developer would understand this, but basically we call this, and then it goes to this line to hash end, right? So now we're to hash end. And so then we go back to the test, right? So we go back to the test. Wrong one, wrong test. Wrong test again. I need to say it out loud which test it is. I think it's the visualization service spec. Nope. Animation service spec. Oh, and we go all the way to the bottom of it. And so what's supposed to happen is this flush micro task is supposed to handle all promises. And then, so it should just make this thing wait until this promise is done. But it doesn't. And then it should do this test, and then it should say test complete. So we should get that callback. And what we should get is, I'm going to go back to reset hash. We go back to this thing, and we're going to, we're expecting this to call because of that flush micro tasks. So we should see that here's the new hash bro and the hash, but we actually get to test complete instead, and then we finally get the new hash bro. And so, Angular's testing framework has built in all kinds of stuff so that, we can deal with these sorts of things. And so I had given ChatGPT the code for, and I would never do this at work. Okay, don't do this at work, because you just don't want to get in trouble for. You don't want to get in trouble for leaking secrets or anything like that. Just so if you're gonna ask questions at work of things like this, you should make it more generic. You shouldn't just copy your code and paste it into there. That is, now I've never seen anyone fired for that. So I've seen people fired for copying and pasting stuff into social media. I even saw someone I worked at a place where someone copied some code and they put a key for Amazon into the code, and then and it was like a Friday night, and they did it in Stack Overflow. They pasted it, a code example, and then the key was in there, and then people got the key and they started, I don't know. I don't know what they were doing. My understanding, I was told this doesn't quite make sense. Someone explained to me why this doesn't make sense. But I was told that they were mining crypto with Amazon, and they ran up like a bill of like $400,000 over the weekend. And then on that Monday, no one got fired. But I've seen people get fired for taking screenshots of stuff they were working on and putting it on like Facebook, places like that. So anyways, but in general, I wouldn't copy something like this into ChatGPT. But since it's just my own stuff, it's not that big of a deal. But anyway, so I copied this, and it was like, man, I don't know, this should work, but what is in here? And get hash string. And so I showed it was in get hash string, and it was just like, so let's go to get hash string. And it was like, oh, this guy right here is the problem. And it said basically it doesn't work with native browser APIs like Crypto Subtle JS Digest. It can't do that. So basically, but this is my first chance to really read it over. So the fake async zone cannot control or flush native browsers API like that, etc. This is why your flush and tick are not affecting the outcome. the test ends before the digest resolves. So basically, yeah. So basically, it can't handle leaving. And my suspicion is because this is probably, if you have a math coprocessor, it's probably offsetted to that, and it just cannot wrap around that. And I don't really understand how all that works, but I'm glad I understand what the problem is. So then, like, I can kind of let my brain just sort of cogitate on that. I think chew on that for a while. But anyways, so the best solution is to use async await in your test, which I don't think is the way the code is written right now. It is feasible because reset hash doesn't return a promise. So and because I kind of read ahead of this, and I think I need this thing to also to return the promise as well. Instead of a void, it could return the promise. Now that will cause whatever code is going to use reset, whatever code uses reset hash to have to be modified, because I don't believe the promise will be executed until something asks for the result. So, and it might change. I don't know. This is going to cause us to really have to understand how promises work. But anyways, but it actually says. Almost. It is 8:42, so that is a reminder. That kind of knocked me out of that little thing. So, because yesterday I did this stuff all the way up into 8:58 because I kept getting sort of into these streams of consciousness. But so it says reset hash doesn't return a promise. Reset hash doesn't return a promise. So Rhett, you could either change its return to a promise from get hash string, or you could manually use await. Oh, okay. So it looks like I could say await flush promises. So this is my first one, and I could do this, and I think this is a worthy mission, right? I could do that, but the problem is I think wherever I call reset hash from, I can't just call it. You know what? Like right now, I have it set to like, hey, I'm calling you, and you do your thing, and then whenever you and whatever, and I don't care. You just do what I tell you. But I think if I do this, I think I'll have to say dot then and have it execute again. And I don't know if it will create I think it'll just keep returning the same promise. No, it should return a new promise every time. I don't know. The idiosyncrasies of working with promises, we'd have to really get down into this. So it would fix our test, but it would probably break the code. And I don't even think we're using it, so maybe it doesn't even matter. Do we use reset hash anywhere? So, I mean, I guess that's fine because we don't use it anywhere. So we're not, like, if we were using this function someplace, there's a good chance we would break wherever it's using it. But since we aren't, we could return a promise. I do kind of like being able to just call it and just say, do your thing and never bother me again. But returning the promise would probably be a good thing too. Let's go back to here. So what's our option 2? And wait with flush promises. If you want to avoid changing the function, which is probably what I would want to do in a real job. So maybe we should go this route. You just allow it to test the file. Just use this helper to test the problem. So I think what it's saying is create a like copy this right here, basically, which I can hit this button, I guess, and go back to my test. Thought the test was in here, right? Nope. I keep getting very confused. So it's saying, I think, I don't know if we want to do this here or if we want to do this here. Or maybe we want to do this here. So we have a function called flush promises, and it does a set timeout resolve 0. I don't even know if this is going to work, but I'm actually very curious if it does work. And then it says we change this to an async instead of fake async. So it's a real async, which I don't know if, and that is different. Okay, so we get rid of fake async altogether. So it's no longer a function that we call. And then we add the word async, which is a JavaScript keyword. So I believe we should just have access to it. We don't have to import it or anything. And then service. So it's kind of just not making assignments the way I was. Service reset hash, which is this, and then await flush promises. So instead of flush micro tasks, we say await flush promises, and then it just sort of skips this and just goes to that. So let's see if what happens. So it's generating, building. But this is nice, right? Because now it's failing because it actually got it. So that actually did work. So now if we run this, I don't know if we'll always get the same value. Let's just see that. I think we should always get the same value because we're running the same hash over and over again. But I'm going to copy that. And I'm just going to paste that in there because I believe that's what that hash should return. If that hash ever changes, this unit test, if something in the way that hash works ever changes, this unit test will fail. And it would be kind of nice to know that. It might not actually break anything, but it would be nice to know that for some reason the way hashes are being stored, because that could have huge implications towards like if you hash passwords or something that way. But it still failed. And I don't, it's but oh wait, so what was weird is test complete still came before the new hash. Was I supposed to do something different? Oh, wait. Okay, so this value, okay, what? Is that world? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna do that again. Because I thought it was like saying that it was actually comparing the real hash. Oh, I think maybe I was confused because I was looking at this. Oh, expected. No, it did not work. That's funny. I could have sworn that did work before, that I copied it from here and that it was showing that it expected that to equal 2. Okay, this will be interesting. Actually, I cannot wait to watch this video and see if that was, because I could have sworn it said that weird long thing to 2. That it was expecting a 2, but it got that weird long thing instead. And I have seen that in unit tests before where like, and I didn't really understand. I didn't take time to sort of demystify it, but I have seen in unit tests before where like it'll work once, but then it doesn't work again when you in subsequent runs. Which, at that point, I really didn't have time to figure that out. I just had to try to find another way to make the unit tests work. Now, you don't just, this is a luxury right now, what we're experiencing right now. The ability to just sit back and just ride this thing and test this thing all the way through. Try it, experiment with it. Okay, yeah, so now it's not working at all. This await flush promises didn't work. It does make sense to mock that instead, but I would really like to actually run that. I could have sworn before it was expected some long thing to equal 2. That's what it said before. And we did not change anything, I don't think, between those runs. So it's 852. All right, so they said number 2 would be to actually make this a promise void instead of so go into this reset hash, and instead of having it run a void, have it run instead of having it return a void, have it return the promise itself. Which I think, to me, this makes sense. The other thing didn't quite make sense, but it would, a lot of it is just abstracted away. And then I think it's saying do this. And then I don't think it can't get to that anymore. So that is part of it, but then the other part of it would be to go into the spec itself, which is not this one, it's this one. And then say await. So now we're waiting for the promise to resolve. Which I think I can I can make this an async. And then return this, but I don't know, whatever. Maybe we'll play around with that later. So supposedly this will work. And I feel like this should work. In my understanding of just pure JavaScript, this should work. Okay, so this, I felt like we saw this before. Expected this to equal 2. Even though I was looking up here and I thought I saw that too. So I think maybe it's because I ran this. Let's try that. Because I didn't have the await before. So I wonder if the await flush promises worked with that. Yeah, so the await flush promises work, but I don't want to do that. I don't think. I think what I wanted, because I just think that adds like another layer of confusion. And it would be the easiest thing in the world to be like, okay, victory, move on. But don't do that to your coworkers. That's just so uncool. Or to your future self. Try to make these things as simple as possible, especially when you're dealing with stuff like this, because this is very abstract and weird. It's weird. All right, Rhett, it is 8:55. You should be making a... See, this is when you should be making noise. So you can knock me out of this weird thing I'm in. Okay, so it looks like we're still good. So now, let's see. Is it the same? Does it start with 0 and end with 7? Yeah. See, I think this number should always be this. Yep. And so now we are winners. Now, I would say that you should probably do something like that, like this. Okay, so let's get rid of this. And you should be like, instead of that, you should just be like, oh, it's expected hash. And this is the hash that you're expecting back. And this will give you a chance to also put like a comment that, to give the people, or even yourself, but the people following behind you, just said, this is what we expect back from the crypto hash service. All right, let's look up here. There. So if this were to change, while it probably would not break this application, if you worked at a place, it probably is. Like if you guys are using this for, you're very likely using whatever crypto service you're using to generate hashes, you're probably using it for passwords and other things, and things might break everywhere. You know, like that might be a heads up, like, oh crap, something weird just happened. But anyways, yeah, so we are good in the neighborhood. Let's see what we get from, I know, right? I know. I'm gonna have to go to work here in a second. So service animations. I don't know that it did it. Okay, so it's weird that it says it never got in here. Oh, okay. So now we need to run the visualizations layout. Am I looking at the right thing? Okay, what? This is animation service. Is this right? Okay, yeah. Service visualization layout. So now the hash has changed. So we'll see what happens now. Did it run? Let me hit refresh on the browser. Everything passed. So we did get in here, but there were no visualizations. So, all right, so next time we need to figure out, we need to actually have some visualizations when we run it, which will be a new test. We definitely want to get rid of our console logs. Oh crap, it's 9. I gotta go. Bye.